Ali Raza Jafarzadeh, who is the Deputy Director of the United States Office of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. And we're grateful to have him today. By the way, author of a book called The Iran Threat. Sir, thanks so much for your time today. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Chris. Always a pleasure to be on the show, and I fully agree with the original comments you were just making.
I would love your perspective. Again, as you come from the National Council of Resistance of Iran, what do you make of what seems to be some inside the United States, particularly high-profile media people inside the United States, who seem to have an almost odd sympathy for the Iranian government? Is that, I mean, my words, nobody else's words, that's just my interpretation. Maybe that's not your interpretation.
Well, certainly I think the whole world has seen for the past 4 decades that the Iranian regime is not just the enemy of the people of Iran, but they're at war with the rest of the world. They're the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism for a reason. They have been behind all of these terror groups, proxy groups that the regime spent billions of dollars to develop, arm, and launch, whether it's Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, the Shia militias in Iraq, and a whole host of them. And I think the world has seen over the past few years that the people of Iran have rejected this regime. There have been several rounds of major uprisings in Iran since 2018. In all 31 provinces, people are have been chanting death to the dictator, death to the oppressor, be it the Shah or the supreme leader, making it very clear that the same way that they got rid of the dictator, the Shah, who had Sabak secret police and was very repressive, had a single party rule, they're now opposed to the current theocracy, and they want democracy. They want political freedoms. They want a future where the vote of the people counts, and they want an Iran that is a source of stability, peace, and coexistence, rather than right now being the epicenter of war and terror.
Yes, Ali Raza Jafarzadeh is the Deputy Director in the National Council of Resistance of Iran, and again, author of the book, The Iran Threat. What you said is important. We always like to delineate between the population of Iran. It is probably now well understood, I think, by most people, that the population of Iran, as you say, does not like living under the theocracy. But Iran is still governed by a theocracy, and that brings me back to the question of when the president of Iran is sent out on shows to speak, he's really sort of a figurehead, isn't he? I mean, he doesn't really speak for the theocracy of Iran. So when he says, we're of goodwill, we mean nobody any harm, he's really not the guy driving the discussion, which is what interests me. He's doing these shows, these media interviews as the president of Iran, and I think, well, he's not really the guy calling the shots, is he? Really?
He's not. He's just representing a theocracy whose shots are called by the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. And I think it's very important to understand that when it comes to the Iranian regime, all they're interested in is to stay in power. And the nuclear weapons program, before anything, is a guarantee for their survival. That's why the regime has spent a huge amount of money and resources to maintain the program. They don't want to give up their nuclear weapons. They are certainly interested in getting the sanctions lifted. They're certainly interested in getting the pressure against the Iran regime stopping, because they are most concerned about their own population. There is an organized resistance inside the country known as the resistance units belonging to the top organization known as the MEK. This is the same movement that exposed all of these major nuclear sites of Iran since 2002, including Natanz, Fordo, a whole host of others. And it's very powerful in organizing protests in Iran, but also on a day-to-day, they're confronting Revolutionary Guards. And the regime is so paranoid of its own population. Since that guy, Pezeshkian, took office just last August as president of the regime, close to 1,500 prisoners have been executed, including political prisoners. As we speak right now, 15 political prisoners belonging to the same movement, the MEK, are on death row. So that's where the real threat to the Iranian regime is. And of course, the outside world, all really they need to do is to build up pressure on the regime, snap back all the sanctions at the UN, make Tehran pay the price instead of giving them pallets of cash. The rest is the responsibility of the people of Iran. You know, they're not asking for boots on the ground or appropriation of money or arms, none of that. Build pressure on the regime, recognize the right of the people to stand up and confront the Revolutionary Guards. You will see the outcome.
That was my next question for you, and it was an important discussion here domestically. And I share the point of view. Nobody wanted to send our men and women into harm's way. Donald Trump with a very strategic strike on nuclear assets, and then out and left, and that was that. And there were people domestically that said, okay, now we finish it off. Now we finish the job. And I think more people than not said, nope, we took out their nukes. It's for the people of Iran to sort it out. Can the people of Iran overcome this theocracy on their own without intervention from other forces or entities outside the country, do you believe? Can the population of Iran overthrow their own government without help, I guess is my big question.
Well, they certainly do, but the problem is that, Chris, over the past 4 decades, the outside world, Europe and the United States was actually helping the Iranian regime. You know, in 2002, when we first revealed the nuclear site in Natanz, it was in early stages. And the EU3, Britain, Germany, and France rushed to help the regime, gave them all the concessions, got them to negotiating table, not to hold them accountable and shut down those nuclear sites, but just to allow them to legitimize their program. And then in 2005, we revealed the nuclear site Fordo under the mountains. At that time, there were no centrifuges under the mountains yet. Nevertheless, the EU3 and Europe rushed to help them. And then came the nuclear deal, the JCPOA in 2015 under President Obama, that legitimized the whole enrichment process, gave them pallets of cash. So it's not about, you know, helping the people of Iran. To the contrary, it was so far the policy of appeasement has been helping the regime in Tehran. No one paid attention to those protests taking place in Iran. Instead of coming out and recognizing the right of those people, the young people who are protesting, saying they have the right to overthrow the regime, you know, the administration here, like under Obama, for instance, and even under Biden, they were just reaching out to Tehran, trying to revive the nuclear deal and trying to distance themselves from those who have been fighting the regime, who have been exposing these nuclear sites, who have been the engine for change. That's why I think you need to change that situation. And thank God, you know, in the past few months, we have seen a significant change in terms of international pressure on the Iranian regime, but also look at the population. They're not giving up in Iran, and they will continue this fight until we see an end to the rule of the clerics. Congress, interestingly, Chris, has been on the right side. There has been a very bipartisan resolution in the House, HRH 166, that calls for that. You know, the opposition has a platform. It's led by a woman called 10-Point Platform for the Future of Iran. That has been supported by U.S. Congress and some 4,000 parliamentarians around the world.
This has been really instructive, and I think it's as simple as that to understand. There is a resistance inside of Iran, and for years and years, the governments of the United States and Europe have been helping the theocracy as opposed to the citizenry, and it's just so clear. Of course, that dynamic has changed under Donald Trump. We are so glad to have you, Mr. Jafarzadeh. The book is called The Iran Threat, the National Council of Resistance of Iran. We learned a lot here this morning. We'll have you back soon, sir. Thank you.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.